Well, one of the biggest projects going on in the state of Nebraska right now is at Eppley Airfield. That is where $1 billion of construction activity is in full-throated sprint. It's really impressive if you haven't been there for a while, and we're going to get an update with it. We have with us our good friend Steve McCoy. He is the Chief Strategy Officer with the Omaha Airport Authority. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Trenton. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on. And so I usually, over the course of a year, usually end up going through Eppley about maybe twice a month, which is a nice amount of increments for me to keep tabs. And as a Omaha development nerd, my favorite thing to do is to get there a little bit early for my flight and walk around to see the progress. It's mind-blowing right now.
You know, even for me, going every day, just seeing how much change is happening. I've been at the airport for 23 years, and this is the most significant thing that's ever been done at Omaha's airport. So we're really excited about what it means for travelers. It's really, truly going to transform the travel experience here in Omaha.
Well, thank you for all the wayfinding, the signage, the easy pickup, the cell phone lots that people can call, and so they don't clutter, and they don't have to pay for anything. Just pick up their friend on the curbside. But give us a 30,000 foot overview, especially in airplanes, about the project and what's going on.
So if I were to look at the entire program, which we call Build OMA, this is really the culmination of our 20-year master plan that we started actually back in 2017 with the new North Parking Garage, the rental car facility. We started the entrance roadway project. We're doing this front drive roadway and canopy project, and really kind of the capstone on this whole thing is the terminal modernization. This has been decades in the work, though, gentlemen. A lot of planning, a lot of design, and now we're in that implementation phase. And so this is really kind of the most impactful part of the program, but the end results are just going to be, again, transformative for travel.
And we've talked about this a lot on the show, but remind everyone some of the new features that will be in the terminal when it's fully completed in a few years.
Yeah, one of the first things we're doing is we're going to consolidate. I shouldn't say consolidate. Our PR folks don't like that term. We're going to centralize the security checkpoint to have one security checkpoint and a new central pavilion. That central pavilion is really going to be the centerpiece of the entire airport facility. It's going to be a very voluminous space. 33-foot ceilings. You could actually fit a football field inside this central pavilion. Our security checkpoint's going to be in there. We're going to have a whole new concessions program in that space. I know that's something you all have covered in the past. We're going to have a unified concourse, larger gate hold rooms. Our gate hold rooms right now are about 1,500 square feet. We're going to increase that to 2,600 square feet. We're going to add additional gates. We're going to have international flight capabilities, which I know is something we've talked about on the show in the past, a whole new baggage system, and it goes on and on. There's just a lot of really important amenities. We're actually growing the square footage of the terminal almost 72% from 385,000 square feet up to 646,000 square feet.
So when you have one centralized check-in system, I assume when it comes to TSA and staffing, it's easier to keep your eyes in one place rather than two separate?
It will be a much more efficient operation for the TSA, absolutely.
So we're talking with Steve McCoy with the Omaha Airport Authority. And once you get past security, the new terminal will have, I think it was 19
Good memory, yeah.
Retailers that are mostly food and beverage, but also some stores. When you look at the site plan renderings, the site plan and the renderings, it's almost kind of like it's a miniature shopping mall once you get past, kind of like some of the big airports we fly through at the big hubs.
And part of the planning process, we looked at some best practices from other airports, similar size, similar operations. And again, we wanted to have a really premier customer experience post-security. And so you're right, every passenger that's arriving and departing, whether they're a resident or whether they're a visitor to this city, is going to have the same opportunity to move through that space and take an opportunity to maybe partake in some of the food, beverage, and retail options there.
Are we going to have a moving walkway or two?
There's no moving walkway in this
we're
current.
not big enough yet.
Trenton's out.
I mentioned the square footage increase, but the walk distance change compared to what we currently have is going to be very minimal.
I just the voice. The moving walkway is going to end.
The moving walkway is ending. Caution. Yeah, except for, could you imagine if you're working as an employee, one of the retailers right next to one of those things for 8 hours in a row, you hear that all day. Caution.
Yeah.
They don't hear it.
You know, I'll say this, though. One of the program goals and objectives was to maintain the customer convenience of the existing airport facility. And I think you'll see when we move into this space, it'll still be a very convenient space.
I'm going to do crowdfunding, and we're going to do like 20 feet of moving walkway.
Thank you, Trent. That's a good contribution. So we are talking with Steve McCoy from the Omaha Airport Authority. And Steve, right now, when you're in the terminal, it's hard to see a lot of the terminal construction because there's walls in the way. But when you get into your plane and you start taxiing, you see it very clearly. And it appears to me that a major portion of the future long concourse is framed out and partially enclosed. Kind of give us an idea about where we are in the progress for terminal progress right now.
That's a great question, Jeff. So if you've come into the terminal, obviously you've seen the work on the canopy project in the front drive. That's actually wrapping up right now. And so as folks have seen that, you're right, they haven't seen a lot of what's behind the scenes. We have a lot of temporary walls and temporary conditions, but behind those walls, significant progress being made. In fact, we're about 30% of the way already through with construction on the terminal modernization program. One of the most important early milestones is a new central utility plant. This has all the cooling, heating, power, utilities, data that's going to serve the long-term growth of the airport. We actually just completed that central utility plant recently. That's an important piece to do because we have to split the terminal. You've probably heard about this terminal split that's occurred to build that new central pavilion that I've talked about previously. In the meantime, work on the new unified concourse is also progressing, and there's just a lot of work going on, again, behind the scenes. So when we turn this over to the public in 2027, I think people are going to be really impressed with the work that's been done.
So eventually, the time will come where the current North Satellite Terminal will be demolished. How far away is that, and how's that transition going to work when we get there?
Yeah, that North Concourse is one of the oldest components of the existing terminal, and that will be demolished to extend the unified concourse furthest to the north. That's really the last phase of construction. So once we open that new central pavilion with the new checkpoint, concessions, the unified concourse, at that point, the north concourse will be demolished and we'll extend the new unified concourse out in that direction. A component of that last phase are those international gates in that international arrivals facility.
So you said 2027. Is that the year where the whole entire project will be done?
2027 is really when we're going to have the big kind of grand opening piece of that central pavilion. That north concourse will finish up in 2028.
So you're talking about the central pavilion and the utilities plant right next to it. All the baggage handling stuff, will that be under the central pavilion or part of the utility plant?
Actually, it will be under that central pavilion. We're really excited about this feature. Again, it'll be behind the scenes, so the public won't really get a chance to see it, but a highly sophisticated, automated, inline check bag inspection system. We've worked with the TSA on this for a number of years. It'll be a marked improvement from an efficiency standpoint from what we currently have at the airport, but that will be underneath the central pavilion. So as you're moving through the security and you're grabbing something to eat or buying a newspaper or whatever, that'll be happening underneath your feet.
How many carousels?
For the inbound baggage system, there will be initially 6 carousels. We currently, or I should say we formerly had 6 carousels, but they were much smaller. The linear foot on those carousels did not really support the larger aircraft that we're seeing in Omaha right now. So these carousels will be much larger and be more efficient than what we previously had.
We're talking with Steve McCoy from the Omaha Airport Authority about all of this construction and the real total reformation of Eppley Airfield with everything that's going on there. $1 billion worth of construction right now in full swing at the airport. And Steve, let's talk a little bit about the front entrance. The canopy's really coming along, a lot of concrete work outside the front door. And for the last several months, people have been temporarily doing drop-off and pick-up on the first floor in the garage. Where are we with this project? How is it coming along? And how soon before I can drive my car on the new concrete?
Let me start by saying the point we're at right now is the most impactful part of the entire program. Between the Canopy Roadway, the terminal modernization program with that terminal split, this is the most impactful part. And so we really appreciate the patience of the traveling public as we work through these developments. It's not going to get any worse than this. We're going to progressively continue to open up facilities. So that canopy itself is wrapping up, Jeff. But the work on the terminal modernization program, which brings that central pavilion all the way out to the curb front, is going to continue for the next year. And so because of that, the passenger pickups and drop-offs will remain in the first level of that south garage. And in fact, travelers have gotten really acclimated to that operation.
And it's covered. It's great.
Well. It's covered. It's only a short walk in. We continue to have commercial vehicles, so shuttle buses picking up and dropping off folks underneath that canopy. And the canopy itself, we just put the last piece of glass in it on Tuesday, so it's completely covered.
That's a milestone.
People out of the elements. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Steve, let me ask you this. Last year, Epley had record traffic, a very impressive number for a city this size. By the way, we reported this on Grow Omaha. We looked at several airports at other cities that were like maybe within a 250,000 people, Omaha size, either smaller or bigger, and it compared extremely favorably. In fact, there was more traffic through Epley than Oklahoma City, which has like 400,000 more people. But that's great, record traffic. Are we concerned at all during construction, because some people will see it as a headache or a hassle, that we could actually affect numbers temporarily for a couple of years, or will people just fight through it?
I think folks are really excited about what this program is going to bring, and there's a lot of community support. We have folks advocating for this terminal, including you two gentlemen here with Grow Omaha. You've always been big advocates of everything going on out at the airport. They see the vision of what's happening, and they're really bought into it. Again, this is the most impactful time. In fact, we've lost over 50% of the public space in the existing terminal due to the renovations that are ongoing right now. But what we're seeing from our airline partners, they continue to add new service, and the traveling public is looking forward to making use of that. That $5.2 million, obviously a record number. We bounced back from COVID, and this terminal is really going to support that growing traffic here in Omaha for many years to come.
Trenton, during the break, was asking, hey, let's say this new terminal is a smash hit, which we know it will be, and Omaha continues this very impressive growth that's going on right now. How is the new terminal being pre-engineered for even more expansion? Because, hey, someday we'll have 10 million passengers going through the terminal.
That's really the beauty of the design, what we're doing. The existing terminal had no ability to grow. This new terminal design is very scalable. So we're building right now, the contract that we have will build a terminal that will allow for up to 6 million annual passengers. However, it has the scalability to grow to 8 million annual passengers and beyond. And so everything is being equipped so that it can continue to grow, continue to add equipment, continue to add security checkpoint lanes, concession space, new gates in the future.
I was just thinking about, Jeff, in 10, maybe 8 years, that when global warming really takes effect and we have year-round 70s weather, we're probably going to have 4 or 5 million people here, so we need that capacity.
Yeah, I like you should, if it wasn't for real estate, you could be a city planner because you think so far ahead.
And a meteorologist, a climatologist.
So when we think about adding new airlines or new nonstop routes or even bigger planes on existing routes, my understanding is that is almost exclusively driven by numbers. However, would the existence of a better, bigger, more desirable, modern terminal help us maybe get some of those new routes, or maybe attract some more traffic by itself? I mean, in other words, when this thing opens and it's a lot bigger, it's a lot nicer, does that alone help us attract more air service, or is it just purely a numbers game?
In a word, no. It's not a field of dreams. If you build it, they'll come. You're right. The airlines make business decisions based on general economic conditions, and we have a great, growing, vibrant community. You cover it every week here on Grow Omaha. And so the airlines recognize that, and they want to make sure that they can provide air travel needs to this community. And so the terminal itself will not provide new opportunities outside the fact that we are adding the International Arrivals Hall. So this facility will unlock those travel opportunities.
And there's no guarantee we get international flights or regularly scheduled international flights, but with the way we're growing and trending, it looks pretty good. Without making any promises, what would be the most likely nonstop international flights that Epley might be able to get within the next 5 to 10 years?
Again, being an airline decision, we do know there's a tremendous amount of interest from the airlines to fly from Omaha, especially near international, and that's really kind of Mexico and the Caribbean. We see a tremendous amount of demand from Omaha, especially in the first quarter of the year when it's cold here in Omaha. People want to go to Cancun, Mexico. We have 150 people every day boarding flights in Omaha, connecting somewhere else to go to Cancun. And so there's an opportunity there for nonstops. Places like Cancun, Punta Cana, Cabo's on that list, Trenton. I know Cabo's your favorite. So somewhere down the lines, we hope that'll provide opportunity for those.
What about private airplanes, especially Berkshire Hathaway weekend, College World Series? And I don't know if that's is handled by the other adjacent private services, but when private airplanes want to come internationally to Berkshire Hathaway weekend or something, is that a possibility?
Yeah, they're already coming. We already have U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the airport. They're located in what we call a general aviation facility, and they can clear non-scheduled arrivals of up to 22 passengers, I believe. But this will unlock the ability to have scheduled international arrivals for larger aircraft.
Yeah, and Trenton really would like to lobby for that whole Cabo flight there. But if you talk about Cancun, though, 150 a day in that first quarter, that could almost justify a daily flight.
There you go.
I mean, but certainly probably a 3 to 5 day a week type flight.
Yeah. People here in Nebraska, especially when it's January, February, love to go where it's warm there in Mexico.
Me gusta Cancun. All right. So, Steve, as we look ahead, why don't you tease a few of the retailer and restaurant brands that will be in the new terminal come 2027, 28?
Jeff, as you mentioned, we got 19 locations in the terminal, and the vast majority of these are post-security as opposed to pre-security, which was the case with the existing terminal. So we're really excited about that. But of those 19 locations, we'll have 17 different venues, and of those 17, 9 are local. So great places like Pitch Pizza, Block 16, Fernando's, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Runza. I mean, people are really excited just to have Runza in the airport. And then beyond that, there are going to be 22 plus additional brands, local brands, food, beverage, retail brands that are going to be offered and sold throughout the terminal as well. So it's a really exciting change to the passenger experience, and we know that the community is pretty excited about it too.
Jamba Juice?
No Jamba Juice in there right now. We will have a Sambazon acai bowls and juice bar with that.
Pickleball courts?
No pickleball courts. Again, a big volume of space in that central pavilion, but no plan for pickleball courts.
That's part of the 2035, 2040 expansion.
It'll be gone by then.
Yeah, no one will like pickleball by then. Steve, we really appreciate everything you and your colleagues are doing to bring a world-class airport facility to Omaha. So, hey, thanks. Keep up the good work, and maybe let's have you back in the second half of the year, and we can talk about progress.
Sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Steve McCoy, Chief Strategy Officer at the Omaha Airport Authority, talking about Eppley Airfield expansion. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.